Okay, guys, we're gonna kick off while people come in. But welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Friday, everyone. I hope you're having a great, great day. And I hope the sun is shining. I know the weather has been all over the place in different places, but I know this side it's quite warm. So, yeah, I just want to say welcome. I hope you guys are super excited for part 4 of the Beyond Boundaries masterclass. If this is your first time joining one of our masterclasses, welcome, welcome, welcome. And I hope you guys know how excited we are. We as Phoenix, we believe in holistic support. And by us having these masterclasses bi-weekly, we're making this so that you guys have insight on how to develop personally and also during your academic journey. We want you guys to be able to enter the workforce feeling mentally prepared and physically prepared, and also that your academic journey is filled with skills that you previously didn't have before, and being able to have knowledge on how you can cater to yourself during this journey, during your academic journey, and also when you're wanting to go into the workforce. So guys, let's push some boundaries today so you can expand your understanding and also develop your current skills. Today we'll be joined by Gugu Zwane, and she will be expanding on how you can build your resilience by specifically looking at emotional support and emotional intelligence as well. We know it's exam season, we know everyone is busy, and I'm sure that even attributes to the attendance that we're having today. And everyone is a bit stressed and worried about, what's coming up next, how can I prepare for exams, and the anxiety. And we as Phoenix want you guys to be able to deal with that anxiety, to deal with that anxiousness, to deal with that stress. What are things that you can do to cope with the stress, to cope with that anxiety? And that's why Gugu is here. Gugu is passionate about mental health. She's a mental health advocate with a background in psychology and English. She holds a BA from Eduvos and also a BSOS honors in psychology. And she is a volunteer at SADC. Gugu has supported individuals and coordinated peer support groups, and she supervises the tertiary helpline at SADC. She offers critical assistance to students, and she's also currently pursuing her PGCE in education, and she's reflecting both on mental health and education. So I hope you guys can take what she says and really just reflect on how it can better your journey with your studies that you're currently doing, and also your mental health as well. Because yes, as much as your studies are important, it's important to also take care of your emotional well-being, because if that's not taken care of, then you won't be able to do the things that you need to do for you to complete your academic journey and also actually excel. So let's just give it up for Gugu.
Afternoon, everyone. I hope that you guys are doing good, and I am very honored to be here. So yeah, without wasting any time, I think that we can just get started, and yeah, hopefully what I say does resonate with everyone that is here today. Okay, so I think before we start off with everything, or rather, just to kickstart the presentation, I think it's very important to understand resilience. What does that mean? What does that look like? What does it encompass? And I think a very high factor or a key role in resilience is emotional intelligence. So, what does it mean when we speak about emotional intelligence? And this is referred to the ability to recognize, understand, and manage one's own emotions while also recognizing and influencing the emotions of others. So, not only does it have to do with oneself, but it has to do with others as well. And it plays a very vital role in both your personal and professional success. So, for tertiary students, how is this relevant? Why is this important? With emotional intelligence, we see it being a very critical skill, specifically with tertiary students, because not only does it help with your academic performance, but it also improves those interpersonal relationships. in addition to stress management and overall well-being as a tertiary student. I mean, it's not easy having to juggle different aspects of your tertiary life and all the demands that come into play, and the need for having that emotional intelligence to ensure that you succeed during your tertiary life is very, very, very important. So key components rather of emotional intelligence, we see self-awareness. So the ability to recognize and understand your emotions, how those emotions affect you, how those emotions affect your behaviors and your thought process, and also understanding and being aware of your strengths and weaknesses. In addition to that, your triggers, what triggers me, what gets to me, self-recognition. So managing your emotions in a very healthy way, a way that is not impulsive, a way that is not irrational, and a way that will not destruct your relationships that you have and your overall success as well. Maintaining composure under stress. And I think this is a very key component as a tertiary student. Like I mentioned, with all the demands that you're faced with, it can be very difficult to strive under pressure. So it involves adapting to change, the circumstances that come with change as well, and not overacting emotionally. So the motivational component as well. So being driven to achieve personal and academic goals for reasons that extend beyond what we see right now. So that includes also your initiative to improve as an individual, to self-actualize as well. Empathy, understanding the emotions of others, being able to, understand and relate to what other people are going through, and being able to put yourself in those people's shoes as well. Okay, this also helps to maintain your relationships as you try to navigate the tertiary life and the tertiary space, and also being able to provide emotional support. And I think being able to provide emotional support puts you at a place whereby you can also receive that emotional support. So we do see that those two do go hand in hand very well, even with social skills. So building and maintaining healthy relationships, being able to resolve conflicts in a way that is positive and healthy, being able to collaborate with other peers as well, being able to communicate and work well with others, for lack of a better term. So, like I've mentioned, in the tertiary life, why is this important? So we mentioned academic success, being able to, understand where you're lacking, what you need, where you can improve on, and also being able to regulate yourself, especially when you're feeling stressed, to ensure that you do perform well. Stress management, like I mentioned as well, being tertiary is very, very challenging. It comes with a lot of stress, it comes with a lot of demands, and sometimes it can be very debilitating having to juggle every single thing in addition to now entering into adulthood. It's very, very, very overwhelming, and the stress can very much intensify. And being able to manage that stress and regulate yourself, it really does go a long way within your tertiary space. Improved relationships. Tertiary is all about not just academics, but meeting new people, experiencing life, what it's about, understanding yourself and growing yourself as an individual. And I think that has a lot to do with the relationships that we build and we form during tertiary. So having those social skills, building that empathy, it's very crucial to having meaningful relationships and connections with other peers as well. And emotional intelligence really does help navigate that, and mental health. So self-awareness and empathy, they definitely do contribute to one's emotional well-being and emotional health. So being able to identify your stresses, what is making me anxious, what are my triggers, how do I feel when I'm overwhelmed, how do I feel when I'm stressed, and how do I go about finding ways that can help me manage all these different feelings that are contributing to my dysfunction. And having that emotional intelligence, it helps to tap into that self-awareness so that you can identify what is happening within oneself. So let's talk about mental health. So I am very, 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 very passionate about the topic of mental health. And I'm a very firm believer that in every space we exist in everything that we do, mental health it plays a very pivotal role in all of that. And I think because of the stigma, the societal norms, it's very hard to talk about. Sometimes it's very hard to talk about mental health openly. You don't know how you'll be perceived. Never do you want to be marginalized or ridiculed because of the conversations that you try to have regarding your mental health and mental illness challenges. So I think it's very important to have these discussions, to have these spaces, to unpack mental health. What does that look like for me? What does that even mean? How do I identify it, and how do I go about managing the symptoms that I may be struggling with? Okay. So I think to begin with, it's very important to differentiate between mental health and mental illness. Even though we use the two terms correlatedly, however, they don't mean the same thing. And to unpack that is very, very important to build one's understanding about mental health and mental illness. So when we look at mental health, so this is one's general state of mind and well-being. So this is something that should be looked after and is important rather to one's physical health. So we do see that in order to have a good mental in order to have good mental health, this is something that we need to be continuously looking after, ensuring that everything is in check. As opposed to mental illness, on the other hand, so this is something that disrupts your mental state. So this is something that is a whole body experience or illness rather that affects the way that you think, behave, act, and feel. And I always say that if you're not okay, whether it's emotionally, psychologically, physically, it definitely affects your ability to function. And when you're not functioning, then we do see that different areas of your life, they do tend to struggle a lot. So anything that disrupts your mental state, anything that disrupts your ability to cope and your ability to function, that's what we would regard as a mental illness. Okay, so with mental health, what it is, what it isn't, and I think going through this helps break down the stigma surrounding mental health. So what it is, it's something that is very important, something that everyone is like intrinsically linked to. And I think it's on a continuum. So it's something that will constantly either go up or go down, depending on the state that you are in. It's worth making time for. It's part of being human, and it isn't a sign of weakness. So it's something that can either be positive or negative, something that is changeable, complex, and real. What it isn't, on the other hand, is a sign of weakness. It's not something that is shameful. It's not something that is in your head. So you're not delusional when you are struggling with mental health challenges. So it's something that you decide to take control of over rather. And I think it's something that is not fixed. A lot of times people think that if you're feeling stressed today, then you're going to feel stressed for the rest of your life. If you're struggling with anxiety today, you're going to be struggling with anxiety for the rest of your life. So it's something that is not fixed and definitely can be changed. And I think it's not something that you can just snap out of. A lot of times, I would hear people who just say, "Ah, man, just snap out of it." And it doesn't work like that, unfortunately. So with stress, let's talk about stresses. So what it is, so stress is a perceived demand of something, and it's very important to acknowledge that stress, we get good stress, we get bad stress. And whether or not you are aware of it, or whether you choose to acknowledge that, there are good stresses and there are bad stresses. And like I said, it's something that is a perceived demand and not necessarily a coping mechanism or coping resource. So anything that upsets the body's natural balance, forces from outside that affect you. And sometimes it can be internal forces and not necessarily always external forces as well. So it's a part of our lives. Being human means that we are subject to constant stresses. It's how we deal with those stresses that can either make or break you as an individual. Okay, and I think it's something that we need to be very aware of the changes in your body, and this is emotionally, psychologically, physically as well. So being aware of that helps you become more aware of the symptoms that you may be struggling with. That may be an indicator of the stress levels you are experiencing. Okay, so it can be exciting, it can be challenging, and I say it can be exciting because there's certain people who can function under stress. I'm one of those people. I need something to be stressing me in order to perform to the best of my ability. One can say that's very dysfunctional, but I know my limits, and I think it's very important to be aware of your limits, understand your body, be able to listen to your body, to differentiate when the stress you're experiencing is helping you perform well or if it is causing any dysfunction. Okay, it can help keep you on your toes and perform to your peak. But like I said, too much stress can be very negative and affect your body, how you feel, and your thought process in that case. So who gets stress? Everyone gets affected by stress. Different people get affected by stress. It has nothing to do with gender, race, age, cultural background, none of that sort. No one is free of stress. And I think, now that you guys are in tertiary, I think tertiary students are more prone to stress with all the constant demands that you guys are faced with. Okay. And it's a lot. It really is a lot. And the degree of stress in your life is very dependent on the different factors. So is it exam season? Are you not writing exams on top of it being exam season? Are you going through relationship challenges? In addition to that, do you have to stress about the situation back at home? Or are you stressing about finances? Are you not well physically? And I think all those different factors come into play and can definitely perpetuate one's stress levels. So causes of stress, like I said, relationships. I think with young people, tertiary students, relationships can be a very, very, very big causing factor of stress. Extreme demands of assignments. On top of submitting assignments, you have to attend classes. On top of attending classes, there's an exam you have to study for, there's a test you have to study for, and there's so many different moving components that become so demanding and debilitating, different changes. So this may be leaving your comfort space and going to a completely different space. Just think about it when you're in first year. You leave your home. A lot of students actually leave their hometowns, they leave their provinces, and they move completely to different provinces and cities where they know no one, and that can be very intimidating, that can be very stressful. So those constant changes that one may come across in life can be a very huge factor when it comes to stress and things needing action to happen. So in order for you to perform well at school, you need to be attending classes, you need to be submitting and performing to the best of your ability, and all of that can intensify one's stress levels. Stress awareness. So when we look at the symptoms, the physical symptoms that we see a lot when individuals do struggle with high levels of stress is sleep disturbances. So either you sleep too much or you don't sleep at all, muscle tension, we see headaches and migraines, neck and back pain, stomach problems, and digestive disturbances. We also see fatigue or insomnia. Then the emotional and behavioral symptoms, on the other hand, we see nervousness, we see anxiousness, changes in one's eating habits. So either you eat too much or you don't eat at all. Lack of energy, mood swings, irritated, you become snappy as well. Weepy and sadness, tired, lack of concentration, and you become very distracted, lack of performance, negative thinking, and pessimistic. So these are the emotional and behavioral symptoms that we do see when the stress levels are very high, and yeah, they're very high. Then negative impact or effects rather of stress. So it's very important to once again be able to identify the triggers, be able to identify the different symptoms that may present in you. Okay, and we do see that with high levels of stress, they tend to lead to severe anxiety or panic attacks, PTSD, depression, substance abuse, and in some instances, we do see an onset of, your major disorders such as bipolar and schizophrenia. So it's very important to, be self-aware, do regular check-ins with yourself so that you can identify where you are at. Then strategies to reduce stress. This ranges from meditation, massage, muscle relaxation, deep breathing, physical activity, playing games, positive self-talk. And I think that's a very, very big one that I want to highlight. The way in which we speak to ourselves plays a very big role in how we're feeling. So negative self-talks will obviously perpetuate one's level of stress. However, positive self-talk, on the other hand, will reduce, the stress levels because you are speaking positively to yourself, you're building yourself, you're motivating yourself. Okay, visualization, time alone, journaling, and yoga, relaxation. So there's like a plethora of different options that one can try and engage with to try decrease their stress levels. Then it's very important to differentiate between stress and burnout because we do get a little bit of confusion, between the two. And being able to differentiate between burnout and stress is very important to build one's understanding and self-awareness. So with stress, you put too much effort into something. You feel, emotions very much strongly as you normally would. We see that hyperactiveness and that anxiousness. Sometimes you feel you have less energy and it takes a toll on you physically. On the other hand, with burnout, this is where now it starts to become extremely debilitating, not only affecting you physically, but also affecting you emotionally and psychologically. So it's hard for you to put effort in anything that you try to do, including trying to get out of bed for that matter. Your emotions, they feel very blunted. So it's kind of like monotone emotions whereby you don't feel anything. You feel very drained and helpless. You have less motivation. So the thought or the idea of doing something or doing schoolwork is just so hard and you don't have that motivation to do any task. Like I said, it takes a toll on you emotionally and psychologically. So this is far more debilitating. And this is where probably we would see symptoms of, feeling very emotional, feelings of sadness, anxiousness, fatigue as well, demotivation, and we start noticing a decreased performance in your schoolwork or in your work. Okay, so I just added the section of depression just for educational purposes. So depression and anxiety do go hand in hand very much. And I think I would be doing a disservice if I unpacked anxiety and not depression as well. So what is depression? We hear so many people say, I'm depressed, I have depression. But a lot of the times individuals don't have any idea of what depression is. And, speaking about that will, help, educate you guys even more. And yet again, to be able to identify those different symptoms within yourself. Okay. So depression. So it's more than just a sadness. And it is categorized as a mood disorder because it affects the way in which an individual feels. Okay. However, it can be treated, right? So depression changes the way that you feel and the way that you think. So without any treatment, symptoms can last for weeks. And I think without getting too technical with depression, in order for an individual to be diagnosed, and I must say I'm not a practitioner at all. However, in order for an individual to be diagnosed with depression, they have to be struggling with 4 or more symptoms, three to 4 or more symptoms for a period of 2 to 3 weeks. So if you do notice that you're struggling with some specific symptoms that I will go into for an extended period of time, and you realize that it's actually been like more than 2 weeks, please do see someone and you get the assistance that you need. Okay. So if not treated, it can lead to suicide ideation. This is where we see individuals playing around with the idea and having thoughts of taking their life. Okay. And then, according to the World Health Organization, depression can affect depression rather affects females more as opposed to men. However, males are 4 times more likely to die by suicide as opposed to females, simply because of the drastic measures males are more likely to try to take their lives as opposed to females. However, this does not mean that females don't attempt to take their lives more. So that still remains that females do try to take their lives more than males. However, the likelihood of males dying by suicide is much more higher as a result of the drastic measures. Okay, so the signs of depression, so the emotional symptoms, this is where we see severe sadness, anxiety, guilt, anger, mood swings. There's a sense of helplessness and hopelessness. One feels extremely overwhelmed, and there is also irritability. Then we see the thoughts. So one has negative thoughts, they battle with concentration, struggling to make decisions. There's that sense of confusion and feeling helpless, like what's the point? Maybe if I just go away and never come back, everything will be better. This is where we see the negative thoughts, coming on. Then the physical symptoms, there's chronic fatigue, lack of energy, sleeping too much or sleeping too little, weight gain or weight loss as a result of either eating too much or eating too little, loss of motivation, unexplained aches and pains, headaches, digestive problems, and migraines is also a very big symptom when it comes to depression. Then with the behavioral symptoms, on the other hand, crying, quick temper, withdrawing from others, so with individuals who tend to enjoy being around people, now all of a sudden they're very isolated, they withdraw a lot. Personal changes in hygiene, personal hygiene and personal appearance. So an individual, they care about how they look and how they are perceived, but now all of a sudden they don't necessarily care about that anymore. So for them, it's not necessarily a priority anymore. So we also do see individuals starting to become very agitated. They become very snappy, and in some instances, they fight a lot with people around them. Okay, and like I said, if symptoms persist for longer than 2 to 4 weeks, then please do get the assistance. Then causes of depression. So this can be genetic factors, it can be chemical imbalances, social environmental factors, relationship issues, illness, grief, loss, and substance abuse. Then anxiety. Anxiety, what is it? So it's characterized by feelings of worry and constant fear. So this is like fear that just does not go away. It's just there. No matter what you do, no matter how much you try to ignore it, it's just there. Okay, it's a natural response. It's one's natural response to extremely stressful situations. So triggers or sources will indicate if it's something that is good or something that is bad. Okay, enduring stress for long periods can cause anxiety and or depression. Okay, anxiety can affect one's daily activity. So the things that one is able to do on a normal daily basis, that now gets hindered. They struggle to perform those activities and do those things. Constant stress or anxiety can increase fatigue to a point that decision making is impaired and the individual cannot properly take care of themselves. Then causes, sorry, I think, okay, I didn't skip a slide. Sorry about that. Okay, so causes of anxiety, individual factors. So this can range from a relationship or a traumatic experience one has, been through, whether it's a car accident, whether it's childhood trauma, a very bad breakup, extreme demands, change, things that just happen, and things needing action to happen. Then symptoms of anxiety. So this is constantly feeling frightened and scared about a specific thing. And this can be maybe being around people or, walking on the streets or going to the shops. Your heart is constantly racing. You get chest pains, dizziness. You feel lightheaded. There's nausea as well. Difficulties breathing. So there's a shortness of breath that one will experience, so tingling and numbness in the fingers, face, or toes, hot flashes or cold sweats, feeling disorientated, lack of concentration, fear of losing control or doing something embarrassing, fear of dying. And when we say fear of losing control and fear of dying, this is not just like a normal fear. This is fear that will literally affect your ability to function. So things that one would normally be able to do, they will not be able to do because of this constant fear that is just there and persistent and strong. Okay, I love this mental health on the spectrum slide because it gives you an indication of when you are in the safe mode or and when you are in the danger zone. So ranging from healthy to crisis, it gives an indication. So when you're healthy, okay, normal mood fluctuations, you're performing well, you're coping very well, you have things in control. Physically you're well, you have few sleeping difficulties, you're still interacting socially, and there isn't that need to use substances to cope. We know that, okay, you are okay. However, as we start going on the spectrum, we see that, okay, this now needs a little bit of attention, but you're not severe yet. So there's nervousness, you're irritated, you're impatient, sadness, overwhelming, you feeling overwhelmed, trouble sleeping, forgetfulness, low energies. Okay, now we say to ourselves, okay, this is what I'm feeling. I need to be very aware of what I'm feeling. Is this something that is, happening now because of a specific reason? So this is where now your self-awareness has to come into play. Start noticing patterns. Is this a pattern? So that you'll be able to kind of decipher if assistance is needed or not. And then we move on to negative attitude, anxiety, poor performance and concentration, avoidance, withdrawals, recurrent images or nightmares, restless and sleep disturbances. Now we start to get very concerned. This is where now you have to go to a medical practitioner to get assistance before it gets to the crisis and the severe side of the spectrum. And then with the severe side of the spectrum, I don't advise you to wait until you are here, because the moment you are here, it becomes very hard now to work towards getting you back to the healthy side. Obviously, it will take longer. Yeah. So don't wait till you get here, please. So with the crisis side, so we see anger outbursts, aggression, excessive anxiety and panic attacks, suicide ideation. So you can't perform your normal day-to-day duties at all. You have zero concentration, you can't fall asleep, or you struggle to wake up, feeling too tired, fatigue, not going out at all, then we do see an increase of substance use when we are here on the crisis side of the spectrum, or gambling addiction, or any other addiction rather. So it's very important to be self-aware so that you can identify which side of the spectrum you are at and get assistance accordingly. And then with the psychological tips, so how do we improve on one's mental health and well-being? So doing regular check-ins with yourself, just taking a moment, just time alone with yourself, asking yourself, okay, how am I feeling today? Am I sad? Am I angry? Why am I sad? Why am I angry? Did anything trigger me? Right? So doing those regular check-ins with yourself helps build that awareness, and it's easier to mitigate certain symptoms when you are aware of them. Identify your support system. Who can you go to? Who is your go-to person? Who is your tribe? Can I speak to a lecturer? Can I speak to a friend? Can I speak to a housemate? Can I speak to my family members about whatever it is I'm struggling with? Okay. Find places you can reach out to. There's different helplines available that you guys can make use of. So even connecting with others through different resources, support groups are available, inspirational thoughts. So just to help uplift yourself, make yourself feel good. What we say to ourselves really, really does go a long way. It can either make or break you. Ask for help. It really is okay to ask for help, and it isn't a sign of weakness. Do things to help fill your cup. What makes you happy? What gives you that sense of purpose? Just to help uplift yourself as well. Does that mean visiting a family member? Does that mean going back home? Does that mean just switching off your phone for like an hour, listening to music, taking a walk, going to the gym, whatever that may be for you, implement it so that you are improving your mental health and your well-being. Okay, so practical tips that we're going to go into, and I think it's also important to highlight negative coping mechanisms and positive coping mechanisms. So with the positive coping mechanisms, this means self-care. I always say to people, self-care is not about going to a spa. I mean, I think we would all love to go to a spa. We would all love to go on vacation. However, it's the little things that we tend to neglect to do for ourselves that is very important. So what have you been neglecting to do for yourself that can help you get from a level 0 to a level 8? That is what self-care is, okay? De-stressing techniques, relaxation skills, sensory coping skills, and emotion coping skills. The negative coping mechanisms, on the other hand, so this would be your bad habits, your lifestyle habits, going out late at night, sleeping at like 2 a.m., knowing very well that you have class, but you're sleeping at 2 a.m., you've been drinking the entire day, the entire night, you wake up in the morning, you have a hangover, you're going to class, and you do this continuously. Comfort eating, sleeping too much, overindulging in illegal substances, legal and illegal substances, excessive use of internet as well, that can also be considered as a negative coping mechanism. Then with positive coping mechanisms, on the other hand, practical ones for that matter, to help improve your well-being and your mental health, creating a vision board. This helps because it puts things into practicality. Visually you can see, okay, this is where I'm heading, this is where I'm going, this is what I need to achieve, and it helps build that motivation in you. It just gives you that extra kick, to strive to do better, to work much harder, um And I really like the creating a vision board one a lot. So the 5 4 3 2 1 grounding technique, I love this grounding technique because it makes use of our five senses. Making use of your five senses will help ground you, especially when you're feeling very flustered, when you're feeling very anxious. Making use of sensory exercises will help you shift your focus from whatever it is that is making you feel anxious and stressed and flustered, and it brings you back to reality. Okay. Mind dumping or brain dumping journaling, writing down how you're feeling, what is worrying you, why are you feeling the way that you're feeling. With journaling, it helps not only to help you become aware of how you're feeling and what is causing why you're feeling the way that you are, but it also helps with compartmentalization. A lot of times when we're feeling stressed, anxious, depressed, everything is all over the place. Your mind is juggled up. And to compartmentalize those thoughts and those emotions, it really does help you, give you a positive way forward and to restructure everything accurately. Then power naps. I'm not a fan favorite of, power naps simply because I can't nap. Naps don't work for me. However, for those of you guys who nap and it works for them, by all means, please try it. I don't nap. My nap is like 5 hours. Like I tried nap for 30 minutes. I wake up, I'm even more tired than I already was. So it really doesn't work. But power naps, just to reset a little bit, switch off your brain for a little while, shut your body down for a while, 15 to 20 minutes. I'm not sure how that works for you guys. For me, it doesn't. But if it works for you, just to switch off for a little while, wake up feeling refreshed, you have regrouped, and you're ready to take on the task, or to do whatever it is that you are supposed to do. Creating a calm playlist soundtrack to help with anxiety, this really does help, a lot, just to soothe you, slow down the tempo, slow down your thought process. Okay, be in tune with your thoughts, your emotions, and the calming music you're currently listening to. Um, the DIY sensory box. I really love this because you can chop and change this in a way that works for you and in a way that is helpful for you. So you just take a small box. In that box, you add every single thing that helps you calm down, that soothes you, that lifts up your spirit. So this can be like maybe your favorite book. It can be your favorite scented candle. It can be your favorite treats, your favorite drink. And when you're feeling anxious, flustered, you go back to that DIY sensory box, and you use those items that you have put into that box, whether it's lighting that favorite scented candle, whether it's eating your favorite treats, drinking your favorite drink, reading your favorite book, holding or touching maybe your favorite scrunchie or anything for that matter. Okay. Then coloring and doodling for relaxation. I really love coloring. It helps me to mindfulness. So I would really, really, really also like encourage this. So engaging in simple creative activities like coloring or drawing. Okay, it really does help to bring you back, calm you down, slow down your thought process. A lot of the times we are so quick, our mind is constantly moving. There's this and that and that and that and that. And at the end of the day, your mind boggled. So just to bring you back to reality, just to calm you down, just to like slower your body, your heart rate, and all the thoughts and emotions that you're feeling. Okay. Then the Pomodoro technique, a really good one as well. So, time management techniques where you work in a focused intervals. This helps a lot with studying, with procrastination. When you have an exam, when you have an assignment or a test, it really does help as well with concentration, procrastination, and time management, whereby you work in time intervals. So, for example, you would work maybe for 45 minutes, then you take a 5-minute break, and then you work for 45 minutes as well. This helps with attention span. So if you do struggle with concentration, with attention span, if you do struggle on focusing on, a task for a very long time, this is a very good technique. And in those 5 minutes when you're taking a break, you're relaxing, you are just relaxing, you kind of like detach from the academic, from the school, whatever task it is that you're supposed to be doing. In those 5 minutes, maybe you meditate or you listen to music or you just go outside, really just get some fresh air. And then I think people don't understand the importance of getting fresh air, going outside. It really does play a very vital role in one's mental health and well-being. Listen to the birds, really. Listen to cars driving by or people talking, but just be outside. Okay. Walk and talk with your friend. The importance of having that support system. Not only are you combining that, supportive element, but you're also adding a little bit of physical exercise in there, which will help as well. Breathing apps, breathing techniques, guided meditation. So there's a lot of apps available to help, with feelings of anxiousness, like the Headspace app, the Calm app, Breathe to Relax. So these are guided apps that have different techniques to help calm you down when you're feeling very flustered, when you're feeling very stressed, and when you're having a sense of anxiousness. Then the gratitude jar. I think a lot of times we kind of forget just to show gratitude. Yes, life is stressful, academics are not easy, but just to take a moment and show gratitude, to say, I have made it this far. And I'm very thankful of that. It really does go a long way, and it just kind of helps to reframe your mind. Reframe your mind, and just to propel you to do better, and just remembering that it's not forever. It really isn't forever. So exercise with quick energy boosts. This can be jumping jacks, skipping. I personally don't like exercising. I hate it, but it's good. It really is good. And sometimes exercising does not mean going to the gym. This can be as little as taking a walk around the block. It can be as little as, maybe doing home exercises. I don't go to the gym, but I do take walks. That's what I consider as my exercise. When I take a walk, I would take it with like my family, my partner. So I'm incorporating the different elements that will also help me feel good when I'm taking a walk as well. So setting boundaries, especially with technology, I think nowadays we're constantly on our phones, we're constantly using gadgets, whether it's, our laptops, our phones, whatever that may be. And setting boundaries with that is very helpful, just to detox from technology, just to detox from screens, social media. It really does go a long way to disconnect. And I think nowadays we have neglected that, disconnecting. There's other people, their free time is being on TikTok. But are you really disconnecting? Because your mind is also still functioning when you are when you are on Instagram, with the different senses that you're being exposed to. So setting time aside, whether it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes a day, whereby you detox from social media, from technology, your phone. Set it aside. Be in tune with your emotions and your thoughts. Use this time to either journal, use this time to, do mindfulness techniques. Use this time just to understand the space that you're in right now, to introspect as well. That is very important. Then create worry time. I can't stress this enough. So setting some time aside just to focus on the worry. So you have 15 minutes to literally worry as much as you can. Once that 15 minutes is over, you focus on whatever it is you need to get done. This will help you have structure, have a structure, because sometimes intense worrying can be very debilitating to a point where you can't actually sit and do the task that you are meant to do because the worry is so intense. So setting time aside, you know that, okay, this is the only time I have to worry about whatever it is that I have to worry for today. Then once that 15 minutes is done, or once that 20 minutes is done, I'm moving on to what I'm supposed to be doing. And I have zero time to be now worrying because I've already done that. So that will also kind of help give you that structure to say, when I'm supposed to be doing this, I'm doing this. When I'm supposed to be doing that, on the other hand, I will be doing that. It really is helpful. Man, more self-help tips, eating healthy, getting enough sleep, exercising regular. I'm not gonna preach too much on that because I don't even do it myself. But that little exercise, at least, practice good hygiene. When you look good, you feel good. Take some time out, positive talk, self-talk, create an effective balance between your work and your personal life. So check in with yourself during those regular check-ins. Check in with your battery. How am I feeling today? Am I feeling great? Am I feeling good? Am I feeling okay? Am I just, am I struggling? Am I empty? If I'm empty, why am I empty? Pinpoint the reason that is draining you. Pinpoint the reason you are feeling so low and out. Create boundaries to help you protect yourself from whatever it is that is making you feel so low, and ensuring that you are okay. Okay, do things that will fill your cup, whatever that may look like. And it's very different. What may help me may not necessarily help you. So it's not a one size fits all. It's all about finding what works for you and implementing that. Then the importance of a support network and that having that emotional support, especially for students. Okay, so connecting with your classmates, with your peers, and I think a good entryway to that is your academics. So ask an academic question, even if you know the answer to it, just ask it, just to help start that conversation. Okay, it's very helpful just to have that network, people who understand what you're going through, or people who have experienced what you're going through. That really does go a long way. Seek out for mentors. Can you make your professor, your lecturer a mentor, the teaching assistant, the academic advisor, the tutors. Can you go to them for mentorship? So that you can have that guidance, that academic guidance, that emotional encouragement, to offer that balance between your studies and your personal life. Engage with friends and family, just to have that comfort element. People who know you, people who understand you, people who believe in you, just to help reduce that stress. It really does go a long way. I can't tell you how much I lean on my family for support. I can't tell you how much I lean on my partner for support. They really do help me. Being around them, it literally takes me from a 0 to like a 10 instantly. So utilize that if you do have that support system from your friends and your family. Utilizing the campus resources. I cannot tell you how many students don't actually know the resources that are available on campus. So utilizing those resources. So with the student development, they have mentor programs, they have counseling, they have psychologists on campus, they have peer support groups, peer support programs, they have academic workshops that can help you in dealing with whatever challenges you may be struggling at that moment, whether it's academic, whether it's personal, whether you need that guidance. So utilizing those resources, they are there for you guys for a reason. So make use of them. Join online communities. This can be different support groups available out there. Okay. Then role to emotional support, especially in academic success. So it reduces anxiety and stress. So with emotional support, well, we see that especially with university life, it can definitely reduce that academic pressure. When you have that emotional support, finishing the deadlines does not seem as tedious as it normally would. Then we do see that emotional support from friends and family can also reduce those feelings of isolation. It helps to alleviate that stress and anxiety, allowing the students to focus better on their studies and in turn performing better. Okay, so it also boosts with confidence and motivation. When you have people who are cheering for you, trust me, it makes you feel very confident and also helps you believe in yourself as well. So whether it's receiving encouragement before an exam or celebrating those small achievements can be just getting through a chapter. That's a small achievement. Celebrate it, acknowledge it, because that is now one step closer. Okay. Just helps to build that motivation, and it just keeps you going. Okay. Enhance problem solving skills as well. So with that emotional support, you're more level-headed to deal with whatever challenge it may be. You deal with the challenges with a clear mind. And there's also that guidance that you get as well from your emotional support system to help you maneuver and navigate different challenges. So students gain, different perspective solutions to help them solve whatever challenges that they are experiencing, and in turn increases the academic performance. Then it improves your mental health, okay, which is very general. So a healthy support system is definitely essential to one's well-being and mental health, and it helps to manage those feelings of feeling homesick, the loneliness, the anxiety, and it just helps to improve one's overall mood, which helps, with academics as well. So we see a relationship between emotional support and academic performance and success. So I just added a section for resources that one can use to help improve their well-being, to help improve their mental health. So take a picture of this specific section. However, Tejo will also share the slides for you guys. Do make use of the resources. They really do go a long way. And support is there, guys. If you're not okay, if you're struggling, reach out for support and you will get the assistance. But more than anything, thank you so much for you guys joining in, and thank you so much to Tejo and the Phoenix team for having me. I really do appreciate it, and I hope that my presentation will go a long way. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gugu. Thank you so much for just expanding on your expertise and just going into it's important for us to understand how depression can look, how anxiety look, how stress looks. We sometimes get those things confused. And even just looking at how can we take care of our mental health in practical ways. I didn't know about a DIY box. That got me excited. Maybe it's something I need to make for myself. But we are going into a Q&A session. If you guys have any questions, I know there's a few questions that have popped up, but please go to the activity section and add your question so that we're able to attend to it. We do know that we're a bit over time, so we'll give it up until 2:10. But I think the first question was, how can I practice emotional intelligence?
So with this question, I would say self-awareness, being aware of your emotions, what is causing those emotions. A lot about understanding and practicing self-awareness also means introspecting and taking accountability.
Yeah.
And I think also it's very important to understand that you can't control what the next person does. However, you have control of how you react. So, understanding that, okay, I'm feeling angry. Why am I feeling angry? What about what this person has done and said is making me angry? The moment you understand that, it becomes so easier to build that emotional intelligence and to handle situations differently. Introspection and self-awareness and practice. Also, you're not gonna get it right the first time around. I'm still trying to figure out my emotional intelligence situation. No one has it figured out really, but you need to be practicing it and being intentional about it. The intentionality behind it is also very important.
And I think one thing that I can add in terms of emotional intelligence is when you talk to people, whatever circumstances you're in, whether you're talking to your family, to your friends, you think about, how do I respond to this person? And also, if I had to put myself in their shoes, how would I want to receive what I want to say to them? Whether you're angry, whether you're sad, because that on its own, it's just applying empathy. Whether it's a great situation or a bad situation, just being able to be like, okay, I want to communicate this. How do I communicate that in a way that the other person would like to receive it? How would I like to receive it? Because like you said, the only person you can really control is yourself. The only person's reaction you can control is yourself. And if you, let's say, are angry and you want to scream at someone, then you can sit back and be like, would I want to be screamed at if I was angry? If I was put in this situation, is this how I would want to receive this information as well? And it's hard. Like you said, it's practice. It's something that you need to go and, like, if you're put in that situation, maybe next time someone makes you angry, maybe next time you're in traffic and someone like makes you want to swear, you can be like, okay, I'm angry. And obviously you can't speak to that person while you're in traffic. But being able to be like, how would I want to receive this information if I was actually communicating with this person? If you want to take a practical way to actually go and practice it, looking at situations where you do experience heavy emotion, maybe that's something that you can do. The second question is, how do I identify symptoms of stress within myself?
So this starts by asking yourself those questions. Okay, how am I feeling? Am I feeling very flustered? In addition to feeling flustered, am I feeling demotivated, or do I have anxiety? And with these feelings, it's very important to also be aware how long you've been struggling with these symptoms. What is the cause behind these symptoms? So are you relatively stressed at school, or are you relatively stressed at work? So identifying the stressor is equally as important as identifying the symptoms. So obviously, if there's a stressor, then it's normal to have, that sense of anxiousness, feeling flustered. Then with identifying that, now comes managing those symptoms as well. So it starts as little as asking yourself those questions. Then the moment you ask yourself those questions, you get the answers. Then you can pinpoint the root cause towards how you're feeling. I hope that helps.
Yeah, I think so. I think also, like you spoke about, like if you're not feeling yourself, like those physical symptoms, like you spoke about, like you usually like want to get dressed up and go outside. Now you feel like, I don't have that motivation. I don't have that, inkling to do that as well. And also looking at what has changed around me that has made me feel different. Not necessarily, you might not, I think when I've been stressed and I felt anxious, I didn't know I was feeling anxious until it was too late, I would say. Or until I got to a point where if I'm speaking to my partner, I can't even emote. I'm so tired, or even like I'm sleeping a lot longer. And for some people, it's a lot less, or maybe not even being able to sleep through the night. You wake up in between the middle of the night, you stay on TikTok. Sometimes, that thing where it's like you must put a blue screen on your phone so that, you don't get so distracted. If you find yourself distracting yourself on multiple things, what are you avoiding? Actually going on internally that is making things very different from, your normal, because everyone's normal is different.
It's different. Yeah.
Exactly. Like I like going outside. I like being extroverted. I like meeting new people, but also as you get older, you do change, you figure out like maybe I don't enjoy it as much, but when you realize like I actually feel my heart race a little bit faster when I go outside, you have to ask yourself like, why is that happening? What is changing? Like we said, a lot of introspection when it comes to taking care of your mental health. So yeah, this is a comment, but they just said I live on power naps. How do you not do that?
I don't know. I can't. It didn't work.
I don't know how you don't do power naps. I know
it don't work. It didn't work. I just get more tired. Like it just makes me more tired. So I don't do it because it doesn't work. So I know that when I need to sleep, I will wait until the night for me to sleep. However, what probably I would do is just kind of like have like a break instead. So instead of like doing a power nap, I would, color, because I do a lot of coloring. So I would color, or I would just, just sit by myself, not interacting with anyone, not having conversations with anyone, but just sit by myself and shut down. And I come back refreshed, but power naps don't work.
I know a good power nap. I feel a little refreshed, but there are times I have that power nap and I'm like, maybe this should become a real nap. So that is the fight that I have as a power napper. And the last question, and at least we are at 10 past now, is what if I can't change my environment?
And you know what? This is such a common challenge, especially with like tertiary students. It's a very, very, very common challenge. And I think, firstly, you acknowledge that, okay, this is my situation. I can't change it. Okay. Now we start looking into, okay, if I can't change my situation, what can I change, or what can I do differently for myself? So outside of this environment that I am in, what techniques can I implement to help me be able to sustain and tolerate this environment? Do I need to work on myself to try make sure that this environment that I'm in does not trigger me or does not cause me any harm? What support system can I get outside of the environment that I'm in? Can I speak to a lecturer? Can I speak to a university counselor, university psychologist? Can I speak to my friends just to help, equip me to become a better person and be more tolerant of the situation that I'm in and the environment that I'm in until I can leave? So if you can't change the environment, change yourself, work on yourself, equip yourself with skills that will not make you susceptible to that environment that you're in. So if like Sibongile is triggering you in the house, then what can I do to make sure that Sibongile doesn't trigger me? So I think that is a very big one. Really, it's a very, very big one. And constantly working on yourself, it does help. It does help. And I think just being, it's okay to love people and not want to be around them. It really is okay. And I think accepting the situation and people for who they are, understanding that, okay, this is the situation or these are the people that I'm dealing with. How do I set boundaries to make sure that this environment does not affect me? And sometimes setting boundaries can be as little as shutting down, literally, just like shutting down.
Mhm.
Selective hearing, it can be as little as maybe just going into that environment to eat and to sleep, and
Mm,
everything else you do it outside. You
mm,
know, it can be as little as, winning in life,
mm,
uh, just to make sure that you are okay, because
mm.
it's a very common issue that we see.
I think it goes back to what you said in terms of you can control what you do and you can't
Mm-hmm.
control what the other person does, and I mean, when it comes to circumstances that, like, either a home environment or a raised environment, or even like financial issues and things like that, those are not things that you can just be like, okay, I've healed mentally, they can't, you know. I think it's also seeking out opportunity when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to those things and building that resilience. I think that's what's important, building that resilience to, even though the circumstance right now you can't change it, but for your future self you can, you know.
100%.
And it is difficult because everyone comes from different circumstances. It's difficult.
Definitely.
Or if you're in the circumstance, this is what you should do. If you're in that circumstance, this is what you should do. That's why it's important to understand yourself and what circumstance that you're in, and what certain limitations can you actively
Mm-hmm.
out opportunity to get out of it. Like even being part of Phoenix, you guys are seeking out funding. You're seeking out alternative ways of funding, especially when it comes to, historical date and current date. And this is one of the ways that you like, I'm going to actively fundraise towards my profile, and some people have had the opportunity to get a bursary and some people haven't had that opportunity to get a bursary, and that's just based on different circumstance. And it's important to keep that resilience even when you are fundraising of, what, I might have not gotten the donations that I wanted, but let me spread my profile to my network. Let me spread it to the people that I know so they can spread it to the people that they know. And that way it hides your opportunity of getting funding as well. So yeah, I just want to say a big thank you to Gugu. I know we went over time, but at least we got to go through everything. And I want to say a big thank you to you guys that are here. I know it is exam season. I know that people are busy and that's why attendance is a bit low today. But at least you guys will get the post webinar comms of this as well. We are sending out the last 3 webinars as well today. So you'll receive this when we send out the last 3 at the end of November. But guys, I just want to say a big thank you to Gugu. Gugu, you've given us so much information that I feel like is very needed in this current climate. It's Mental Health Awareness Month also, and this is when things get a bit hectic on campus, especially with
Mm-hmm.
exam season, and people are finding out if they've graduated, if they've passed, if, all those things. And that pressure can build up to things that are very, very sad. And we want you guys to be able to be equipped with, when you are experiencing those negative emotions, that you know that there's a way out of it and those feelings are not permanent.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are experiencing difficulty with your studies, whether you failed a module or whether you didn't do as well as you did, just know that that doesn't define you as a person. And there's always another opportunity around the corner, whether you see it or not. Sometimes you just have to walk in knowing that you'll always be okay. And that's the best way that we can do it. I can't speak in terms of religious things because everyone has different religions, but we need to know that at the end of the day, I'm alive, and that means I still have something I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, I wish you all the best. I hope you have a great Friday. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Gugu, for being here today. I will be sharing all this information with them. And I hope you guys have a great Friday. I love Friday. I hope you guys have an amazing Friday. Take care of yourselves. And yeah,
Thank you.
you bye.